Today I'm going to show you how I decorated this construction tool's birthday cake. Come join me. So to prepare to decorate this cake, I started a few days in advance. I printed off some edible images of various tools and I printed those out, cut them out, and then I'm going to be putting them onto pieces of fondant. So first, as I mentioned, I cut them out of the edible images. I rolled out some fondant, and then I'm going to use a little bit of water and put them onto the edible image, which you'll see here momentarily. So here you can see I'm rolling out that fondant, and I'm just positioning them to make sure that they're going to fit on the piece of fondant that I've rolled out. Once I see that they do fit, I'm placing them using some water onto the fondant, making sure that I don't get water onto the front of the picture because that will make the picture be distorted. After they're all onto the fondant, I'm using my bench scraper and other tools just to cut them out. Then I'm going to let these sit over several days to make sure that they get nice and hard so that I can place these onto the top of a sheet cake, which is what this cake is going to be. It is a chocolate cake and it's going to have peanut butter whipped icing on the top of the cake. And the top of this cake is going to be designed to look like a piece of wood. Here, I'm just kind of putting them aside, as I mentioned, to let them sit for several days. So now on the day that I'm decorating the cake, I'm putting a bit of the icing along the outside edge of where the cake's going to be. And I'm putting that quarter sheet cake onto the cake board and I'm going to begin covering this cake. So initially I'm going to do a crumb coat with the peanut butter whipped icing, and I'm just going to cover the entire cake to make sure that we have a good solid foundation of icing before beginning the actual design of the cake. Please accept my apologies for the noise in the background. I'm sitting in my car doing this voiceover, so you can hear the traffic as it's going by me in the car. I'm not driving, just kind of sitting in the car parked. So now, as I mentioned, I'm going to continue going over this cake to make sure that there is a really good solid foundation of icing along the whole of the cake. And then I'll begin to do the actual design, which I'm beginning here right now. So I'm doing some rosettes, which are designed to look like some knots in the wood. And then once I have several of them, I'm just kind of beginning to pipe using a 1M tip across the whole top of the cake. I'm going to do this same design along all of the sides as well, but I'm going to use a little bit of a darker tone. So this is my peanut butter icing, but then when I get to the sides, I'm going to just dye this slightly darker so that it looks like some like wood on the sides, where it's just, as I mentioned, just a little bit darker than the top of the wood. So here I am now adding the knots onto the side of the cake, and now doing, as you can see, it's just slightly darker. Here I am adding some of that darker color on to follow some of the grains from what I did on top to make it look like wood. So you can see how it looks a little multi-toned. Here I'm adding some cocoa powder to some of the knots to give some additional dimension to the top of the cake. Now I am I'm making a banner to go across the top of the cake. So I'm using some blue fondant, and I'm just going to cut out a banner, and I'm also going to use some white letters that will say Happy Birthday Daddy, which will be draped across the top of the cake. So I'm using a little bit of water, and I'm securing those letters to the banner, which I'm going to speed up right now to get through putting those letters onto this banner. It's going to speed up right about now. And then once they're put onto the banner, it'll slow back down, and you'll see me putting this banner onto the top of the cake. Okay, so draped across the top, and now I'm using some of that icing, and I'm putting those different tools onto the top of the cake, and I'm going to be moving them around a little bit just to kind of put them wherever I feel like it makes sense for them to be where it looks the best. And I'm moving them around. I'll put them down and move them around a little bit. And then once I have those placed, that will complete the entire look of this cake, and the cake will be completed. And with that, this is the final look of the cake. And if you enjoyed this video and you enjoyed watching this cake being decorated, I encourage you to like, comment, and share. And I would love if you would join me for future videos, and that you would subscribe to this channel so that you don't miss any future content. Thank you so much for joining me, and please come again. And again, I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you again for joining me. Have a great day.